Hello and welcome back to the Cinderella Circle that is hosted by me. Hi! How you guys doing today? You may notice that I am not in the woods, nor have I been in the woods for several weeks. There's a reason for this. It's hot! It's full of bugs! It is too busy in there for me now. It's just not the same as it used to be in spring. So enjoy the home setting. Welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella #3, starring Brandy in 1997. So the original was in 1957, then we had one in 1965, and now here we are, 1997, 40 years after this musical was written for live television. And once again, made for television, available to watch on Disney Plus. This version opens with the fairy godmother singing Impossible. And let it be known that the fairy godmother is played by the illustrious Whitney Houston in an absolute magical adventure. So she opens up our entire performance of this new version of Cinderella, which is very colorful, very goofy, very eccentric. So, the beautiful song of Impossible takes us into a busy marketplace where everyone is shopping and we meet the Stepsisters and the Stepmother being particularly goofy over a particularly goofy hat. So we meet Cinderella in the busy marketplace. She's carrying her parcels again. And we see also the prince roaming around the marketplace, which actually really reminds me of Aladdin because he was roaming around the marketplace when he met Jasmine. Except in that circumstance, she was the royal who was, running away. And that's essentially what the prince is doing here. He has run away from the castle. He just wants to be a normal person. And he bumps into Cinderella when she, almost being hit by a carriage, drops her parcels. So she's dropped her parcels, and here comes the prince to be like, oh, let me help you with that. And they have this little exchange. So this is how they meet. They meet before the ball in this version. So they're both singing this song, The Sweetest Sound, which is not in the original. It's just in this version. That is a song from Richard Rodgers, but it's not Rodgers and Hammerstein from the original, which is fine. It's fun how they have incorporated some of their other music into this version to make it their own. And this is very much their own, while still somehow marrying the two versions that we've talked about before. It follows the plot of the original, starts in the marketplace, goes into the ball, and then after. And it also follows the explosive color scene that we see in the 1965 version. This version is so colorful, like, whoa. It's got colors on colors on colors, colors that probably clash. It's got geometric shapes and shiny jeweled pendants and gold and bronze. The palace looks like the Cheesecake Factory. So we have that new song, we have this exchange between the prince and Cinderella, even though she does not know he is the prince. So that happened in the second version as well. Not on the marketplace, but she met him beforehand. She gave him that dipper of water from the well. Now, where were we? The sweetest sound I ever heard. He pulls the, you're not like other girls, are you, line. And then she's all like, what do you mean? How do you think girls should be treated? And he's all like a princess, I suppose. And she's like, no, like a person with feelings and thoughts. And I love Brandy for this. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you for telling the prince, yeah, just treat us like people. It's a crazy concept, but we're people. Well done. Then she gets yelled at by her stepmother, Bernadette Peters. Oh yeah, this is an all-star cast, star-studded. Bernadette Peters plays the stepmother. The queen is played by Whoopi Goldberg, and she nails it. She is a hilarious queen. Although, it's noticeable that the king and queen in this version are a lot meaner than they were in the previous two versions. And that's not to say they're bad people, but it is to say that there's a lot of mockery of their servants in this version, the 1997 version, which makes a lot of sense for the 90s, but does not read well in 2021. The same type of goofy abuse the manservant humor that worked at that time is now all of the problematic issues that we as people are bringing to the forefront. So, their manservant is Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. So I don't know, I guess maybe some people want to see him get stepped on and almost fall off ladders, but I just hope he's okay. The prince and Cinderella bond over feeling trapped in their lives, so they establish a connection over a shared emotional state, and then they don't see each other again until the prince is giving a ball. The prince is giving a ball. Here's Royal Highness. So the palace really does remind me of the Cheesecake Factory in that there's all this peachy gold decoration, swirling architecture, paintings sporadically. I can't describe the sensation that it's giving to me. Watch the film and tell me what you think about the palace in particular. Right, so we meet the parents. The queen is hilarious and controlling. She wants to get the prince married today. And of course, the prince expresses himself. He wants to marry for love. And the queen is like, can you find love today? So let's talk about our stepsisters. Our stepsisters here are named Minerva and Calliope. Calliope is one of the 9 muses, and Minerva is the Roman goddess of wisdom. So there you go. Bernadette Peters micromanages their entire existence, and again, they're flawed, but their flaws are taken to excessively goofy levels. One of them can't stop itching when she gets anxiety and she's just like manically scratching everywhere. Okay, maybe I did it a little more manically than she did. And then our other stepsister has a naturally infectious laughter. I'm so sorry. I should not have done that. We should have left it in the movie. Another song that they include that is not in the original, but is still Richard Rodgers, and I think it's Rodgers and Hart, which was his former partner before Hammerstein waltzed into his life. And that is Falling in Love with Love. I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. She ends it on a high note, but we're not doing that. We didn't warm up. We, of course, get the song in my own little corner. Why wouldn't we? I have to say, Brandy is such a sweet Cinderella. Like, she's so beautiful. She's so gentle and genteel, which is different. So when our Cinderella utters, I wish, that's when Whitney Houston, fairy godmother, enters our life. And she sasses Cinderella. She's like, what are you doing here wasting time dreaming? You gotta take action on your life. And Brandy, Cinderella, is like, first of all, how dare? Dreaming is not a waste of time. And second of all, what action steps should I be taking? I am in a kitchen in my servant's clothes. I do not have access to the things that I need to get to the places that I want. And then Whitney Houston is like, you're right. You make good points. I'm just saying that you have to take actions on your dreams for them to come true. And then Cinderella reflects on what that means. She doesn't know how she would leave her step family. And this talks about the cycles of abuse that Cinderella is based in. She doesn't know how to leave the family, the only family that she's ever known, because she's never tried before, and it's scary and intimidating to go out into the world alone, especially when you are complacent with dealing with circumstances, which can happen. They sing Impossible. It's beautiful. We get the transformation sequence. Okay, the dress. The dress is a gorgeous shade of blue, ice blue. I'm not wearing ice blue, I'm wearing turquoise. I don't have that shade of ice blue. I should get some, it's nice. She has this beautiful off-the-shoulder sweetheart neckline with a shiny fabric, and it has gorgeous little delicate draped beads that just, they like ice her shoulders. She's bejeweled and her hair is up with a beautiful tiara. Her braids are curled in these beautiful ringlets. She's got the ice blue on her eyes. Oh my God, that color just makes her glow. Glow! The shoes are made of glass, as they are in the Rodgers and Hammerstein version. The fit is ball gown. So 10 out of 10 costume design. Iconic. Like, everyone knows that dress. The Brandy Cinderella dress is one of the best Cinderella dresses that is accessible and easy to replicate. I'm saying that as though I have done it. I have not. And then we make our way to the ball. And at the ball, the color scheme is very much blue, purple, green, pink, like peacock colors, those types of shades. And in this version, the prince is just bored. His soul hasn't left his body. He's not enduring it with pain. He's just like, You think we can speed this up? The dances is very Busby Berkeley and synchronized movement and beautiful symmetry. The camera is swishing around the ballroom. The camera is an active participant in this ballroom scene. Let it be known. The stepmother makes a pass at the manservant trying to get her daughters in, and he is not about that life. But it makes for good goofy humor. Can I say goofy one more time? This version is very goofy. Right down to the costumes. The costumes in this production, architecture. The costumes in this production are architecture. Like, it's structurally sound to move and wobble in goofy ways. You have to be a brilliant designer to do that. Now, the king and queen interact with Cinderella during this ballroom. After she comes in and, the room is silenced, she has her grand entrance and she and the prince sweep away to dance and sing. The king and queen are like, well, I want to crack at her. By the way, the king is a little too interested in Cinderella. That was a little unnecessary. And the queen talks to Cinderella directly, puts her on the spot. Who's your family, kid? Which makes Cinderella uncomfortable because she is incognito and she is already being stalked by the stepmother at the ball. So, queen, I gotta go, bye. And Cinderella actually talks with her fairy godmother at the ball. That's not something we've seen. She talks with her at the ball about wanting to leave early. The fairy godmother has to convince her, no, stay. It's not midnight yet. You already have limited time. Don't cut yourself short. I love the scene after the ball with Brandy. She is so dreamy as Cinderella. She plays it so dreamy, so whimsical, so alive. It's inspirational. Tear. And then, of course, the prince is left with nothing but a slipper, so he tries the shoes on in every maiden in the land. We see some pretty amazing stockings in this version, like, wow. So the prince is played by Paolo Montalban, and he is so dreamy, has such a rich, velvety voice. We even get a shirtless scene. Thanks, Prince. His prince is different because they call him Prince Chris instead of the full Christopher, or the prince. They're just like, Chris, come here. It felt very modern. Basically, everything goes as planned. It's very 90s humor, very 90s rated G humor, very theatrical. And we get another new song, There's Music in You, which is so beautiful. I say that a lot, don't I? Yes, there is music in you, dear watcher. There's music in all of us. And our Whitney Houston fairy godmother is the most inspirational of the three. She never tries to punish Cinderella, but she does verbally smack some sense into Cinderella. Smack is too strong a word, but sometimes we do need a reality check. And even though she's the fairy godmother, she was the one to provide it. So I accept. We get that beautiful song, There's Music in You. When the shoe fits, she transforms into her wedding dress instead of the blue ball gown. And then we transition to the wedding itself, and the wedding takes place on the stairs, which sounds precarious, but okay. Very Broadway, this version. Very, very Broadway. And the fairy godmother sums it up with impossible once again. So there's symmetry. It opens with impossible, it ends with impossible, but at the beginning, the viewer's like, gosh, will this happen? And then at the end, they're like, gosh, this happened. Well done. So they all follow the same path because it's the Cinderella tale, but also specifically it's the same musical, but all three versions of the musical made it their own. They took the initial plot, they incorporated who they were working with as actors, the types of set and scenery available to them, and they made completely original pieces despite all using the same book. Love it. Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Have you seen this one? Will you go watch it if you have not already? What do you think? Tell me, do you believe that impossible things are happening every day? Thanks for joining me, guys. See you next time.